Hey guys, it's Steven from Fredcelli. I recently did an unboxing of my latest watch acquisition, the Seiko Sports SRPD95. As promised, we're following up with a more up-close and in-depth review. Let's go ahead and take a closer look. And here we are up close with the Seiko 5 Sports, the successor to the beloved SKX model from Seiko. Starting with the dial, it is a black dial, that's the one I went with. It's a warm black, a slight tropical feel to it, and likewise the lume on the watch has a creamy color, so it has an overall slight faux patina to it, but they don't go too far with it, and I think it's executed really well. So, mention the lume, this watch also has really great lume, we'll get a quick shot of that. Out from the dial, you also see it has a day and date display window, which is really nice. Also a little red tip on the second hand, which adds a little nice pop of color, which I always like in these watches. Moving further out in the dial, you can see it has an outer dial that's raised and has the minute markers, which gives the watch a nice depth. And I think the overall execution of the dial is really nice on this watch. Obviously the finishes are a little bit rough as it's a $300 watch, but really happy with the design of it and the look of it. Moving out to the bezel, this is probably the weak spot of the watch. It's maybe a little hard to pick up on camera, but overall the bezel just looks and feels a bit chintzy in real life. It does have a unidirectional turning bezel as you would have in a dive watch, but the mechanics of it also do feel a little bit on the cheap side. Likewise, there's no luminous marker here for true diving. This is a little bit more of a sports watch than a true diving watch, although the design aesthetic looks like a dive watch. Moving on to the side profile of the case, the crown is at 4 o'clock, similar to the predecessor, the SKX, which is very Seiko. We did mention the bezel being a little bit on the chintzy side. The design of it's not really bad, it's just the material of it and the overall execution are a little lacking, but again, for a $300 watch, I'm really pleased overall with the aesthetics of the piece. Moving on to the other side, get a look at the other side of the case, and does have holes for the lugs. And then let's go ahead and take a look at that movement. When we turn the watch over, we're greeted to a see-through case back and the new 4R36 movement. So the big difference in this movement is really that over the SKX versions, you could actually wind the watch with the crown, as well as previously you could not do that and you had to shake the watch to wind it up. There was no manual winding option. Also on the crown, should also mention, it is not a screw down crown. The watch does have 10 bar water resistance. I did shower with it with no issues. I have not swam in it yet because it's like 40 degrees in February here. Not a screw down case back, so not a true diver's watch in that respect. It's not super water resistant. It's really more of a sports watch versus a diver's watch, even though it has a very diving aesthetic, and the SKX has more of a diving background. So also on the case back, you can see the anti-reflective coating or lack thereof. This is not a sapphire crystal, it is a hardlex crystal that's used on the front and the back, but again, keeping the price down of this watch. This is a $300 watch, it's not a $5,000 Omega or Grand Seiko or Rolex. Just a little bit more on the movement. It is fairly accurate, but not super accurate. As you can imagine with the watch in this price point, it's not a chronometer or COSC certified. It is rated at plus 45 or minus 35 seconds a day, which isn't superb, but functional for just general daily wear. I did wear it out in the real cold one day. It was like 20 degrees and it definitely had an effect on the timekeeping. Although when wearing it in regular room temperature and just out and about, it seems to be pretty accurate and I've had no issues. Last but certainly not least is the strap on this watch. It's actually my favorite part. It looks like it's woven, but it's all rubber. It sounds kind of silly, but the execution is just really, really great. It's really light, it's really comfortable, it looks great. People are like, what is that watch strap made out of? That looks really neat. I've only had it for 2 weeks and people already asked me about it. It does have a Tang style here, and here's the buckle does have Seiko written on it. Nothing fancy, but I just really, really like the strap, and it's probably my favorite part of the watch. We'll show you a few more shots of the watch, but if you enjoyed the video, please hit that thumbs up, like button on YouTube. That would help us out a lot. Also, we're a very new channel, so if you subscribe, that would absolutely make my day. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Steven from Fricelli, and looking forward to seeing you guys next time.